I was on the town hall meeting yesterday afternoon, and we taped this right around 3 o'clock. And Jim Gray reached out. He's the host of Let's Go. That's Tom's radio program. Every Monday night, it's Tom, Jim Gray, and Larry Fitzgerald. And we had a Zoom call, and on my monitor was a variety of people who cover, football. Pam Oliver, Aaron Andrews was on there, Scott Van Pelt, Chris Berman was on there, Colin Cowherd was on there. And there are a variety of people. And you got a chance to ask a question. And it turns out that I asked two questions. I wasn't planning on it, but one thing that somebody said prior to me coming on with my question had to do with the Seattle Super Bowl and what happened at the very end. And then Jim Gray said, well, let's bring on the guy who handed out the Super Bowl trophy. And I talked to Tom about reminiscing about that Malcolm Butler interception against Seattle.
Dan Patrick joining us. Dan was there for the trophy presentation, working for NBC. Of course, he has the Dan Patrick Show. Dan, fire away.
Thank you, Jim. I was thinking back to that, Tom. I don't think you even realized, even when I was handing you the trophy, that what just happened. Like you seemed like you were in a daze.
Yeah.
Like it took a little while, maybe. I don't know when it set in, but because your reaction on the sidelines, then you get up on the podium and it's like it happens in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt that way. Like, what just happened?
Yeah, because I think, when you're the player in the game, obviously you don't have the, what you guys have, which is the overall perspective of everything that's kind of gone on offense, defense. I didn't pay attention much to what's going on with defensive stuff. We kind of how the game ebbs and flows. I'm just kind of on the sideline thinking about what's the next series, what are they playing? What are we going to run? Next thing you know, it's the last drive of the game. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm in tune. They hit the play down the field to about the 4-yard line. They hand it off to Marshawn, and Dante Hightower makes one of the all-time great tackles. And then Malcolm Butler, I know what happened right away was, Chris Collinsworth said, why didn't they hand the ball to Marshawn right away, which automatically accused the whole audience that they should have handed the ball off. But in my mind, I thought that was one of the most unbelievable defensive plays I've ever seen, because for a player like Malcolm, who has that ability and that, instantaneous reactive twitchiness to go get that football, I thought, man, they're going to be talking about how great of a play Malcolm Butler made, which in the end, they never really talk about how great of a play they made. They always talk about the decision by Darrell Bevel that not hand off. So I saw that from my sideline, like that was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen, because actually Malcolm had made a few of those plays that season against me because he played scout team corner a lot. And he was so quick. I would throw little option routes and he would break on him and intercept them. But like, damn, no one does that. And then for that play to come up in the Super Bowl, that was a great play by Malcolm. Obviously, he got the Super Bowl MVP truck after that. I gave him the keys. I said, here you go, big guy. It's your truck now. And, without him, it was that game would have went the other way as well.
Yeah, he brings up something really interesting, that Malcolm Butler was doing this all season long. And then during Super Bowl week, Belichick said, if you see this formation, you go right for the ball. And Butler talked to us after the Super Bowl 2 days later, and he told us the story that Wednesday he was late getting to the ball. And Belichick said, when you see this, you go towards the ball. I'm right by the goalpost because Seattle's going to win. They're going to bring out the podium, and we're going to hand out the Super Bowl trophy. And as I'm straight ahead to Russell Wilson. I got Marshawn Lynch on my right, and I'm thinking I'm going to watch him come right through. And next thing I know, Russ goes back to pass, and I say to my producer, Ron Vaccaro, oh, bleep, because I thought, don't throw the ball over the middle because it could be knocked down. And I didn't think it was intercepted. I thought, my God, Malcolm Butler just knocked down the ball. That's one of the great plays I've ever seen. And then I go, he's got the ball. And I look over at Brady. Brady is jumping up and down. He's got his hands on his helmet like, oh, my God, like we just won the Super Bowl. But in that moment, he brings up the Hightower tackle that nobody brings up. Hightower has to stop Marshawn Lynch for the Malcolm Butler play to happen. The other question I talked to Tom about, because a lot of people on the Zoom call were talking to Tom about retirement. And when are you going to know when you're going to retire? And is it more physical? Is it more mental? And I wanted to tap into something that I've talked about on this show. And that is when I left the mothership 14 years ago, I realized at the time after my wife reminded me, I was going to sign a 5-year contract. And I turned that down because my wife said the kids are all going to be grown up. Like, you're going to miss out on this. And she was right because of the time commitment of being at ESPN. And I wanted to talk to Tom about that. Is that something that might be the ultimate factor in you retiring? Is not physically or mentally. It's just Giselle saying, at some point, you got to be around these kids. And here was the conversation. The question I had, you're 6 years younger than I was when I left ESPN. And part of the reason why I left is my wife said to me, you're going to miss your kids growing up. And they were 9 through 15. And I was going to re-sign with ESPN for 5 more years. And she said, they're going to all be out of the house. And it hit me so hard that she was right. And I wonder, you're 44, you have your kids, but that tug of war of wanting to be great, but also, your wife saying, if she does say, like, how do you kind of juggle that where you don't feel guilty going to work, or how much time you put in at work and what you might be missing at home?
Yeah, it's the same thing here. It's the same thing in this house. And I think my wife has, held down the house for a long time now. And I think there's things that she wants to accomplish. She's hasn't worked as much in the last 10, 12 years, just raising our family and kind of committing to being in a life in Boston and then moving to Florida. But that's an issue. And it's a very difficult issue to reconcile without just saying, hey, it's time to retire. And I think there's, we're coming to the end here too. So I don't want to miss any of the kids' stuff. And I think at the same time, there's a lot of parents who get 2 or 3 weeks off a year that, they work real jobs and real lives. And, I get a lot of time off actually. And there's a big part of my life. You guys probably, when you're running your shows, you don't get a lot of time off. Football players, we get a good, healthy off season. And I try to do my best with the kids, although I wish I was there more. But I think if I was there too much, they might be sick and tired of me screwing up everything that's been going on in the house for a long time too. So I've heard that argument on the other side as well. So I think it's a little teeter-totter from time to time. And I'm trying, like all of us, to do the best we could do, based on, the circumstances.
And you could hear a little bit of emotion there where he paused, because it does hit you. And it's not a football question, because I wasn't interested in asking him a football question. Because I do think that this will come down to maybe more than just mental or physical, because I think he can still do it. And why wouldn't he be able to do it? If you still have the arm strength, you still have the mental approach to be great, and you're surrounded by talent. He's got young, talented wide receivers. As long as your offensive line is good, you got a coach who is giving you the keys. Have some fun out there. Antonio Brown is playing well. He's got control of his brand, TB12. I mean, this is the best marketing that you could have, is going out there and actually playing at this age. But I think at some point it weighs on you. I had accomplished everything I could accomplish at ESPN, everything. But I wanted to go back. And then you realize, like, you get home and all of a sudden things start to hit you. You see your kids in a different way. Things that they're faced with, challenged by. And I think that might be something that pulls on him eventually. And that's why I brought that up. But any father who works and you work strange hours, you're not able to be there all the time, it'll hit you. If it doesn't hit you, it eventually will. Because you'll be like, God, I missed out on really small things, but they become really, really, really big. And that's what I think Tom has to wrestle with a little bit, because he's so committed to still being great. And you can't do it halfway. At least he can't. Yeah, McLovin.
He did bring up an interesting point. Football players probably do get a lot of downtime. It's not like you had to work 5 nights a week at SportsCenter.
Yeah.
But it's a good point, 6 months off.
Yeah, but is it really 6 months off? Because it feels like you got to be year-round committed to stay in that kind of shape. What you do, working out with wide receivers in the offseason, maybe he's got 4 months of vacation, true 4 months of vacation. It's the other stuff you miss during the school year. The hard part for your wife is the school year. When you're trying to get somebody baths, homework, like all of these things. And that's when one side is like, yeah, can you come home? Or you're not going to be home for dinner, or whatever it might be. And then Monday, or Tuesday, he's going to do this and do the Zoom, the town hall meeting. And then he's going to go on with the Manning brothers. And then he's on for like 3 or 4 segments I'm just saying that this happens in relationships where one feels like, you get to go, you get to do these things. I don't. She's one of the most famous models ever. But as Tom says, she's put that on hold for a decade. Right? And she was making $40 million a year. And now you're a housewife. These are the kind of things that'll eat away at you and create friction. Also, go back to what Giselle said a few years ago on the CBS Morning Show, where she brought up Tom's concussions. Nobody had brought up a concussion with Tom Brady, ever. Don't remember that. And she's saying he's had multiple concussions. She's a strong voice on the other end. I hope he plays till he's 50. I mean, why not? I never want these guys to leave. I don't want them to embarrass themselves or, when I see Drew Brees not able to throw or Peyton Manning not able to throw or Joe Namath at the end of his career, Johnny Unitas at the end of his career. It's rare. It happens. But, the thing that you hear with Brady now is he's got a great personality. I mean, he's fun. He was thoughtful. He answered questions. He poked fun at himself. But it just feels like he's unplugged. Like, I'm able to do whatever I want to do. I can say whatever I want to say. He had nice things to say about Belichick. Just the relationship. And really unprovoked. He didn't have to bring up Bill Belichick, but he did. But he talked about, just a variety of things of, how he drove home after Sunday's game and he's mad because he missed O.J. Howard in the end zone. Like, he's like angry. He's yelling at himself in the car. So imagine Brady's driving home. You just embarrassed the Bears. And he goes, and he's mad. He's like, God, I can't believe I missed him. We should have scored 50 points against them. That kind of motivation, that tunnel vision, I mean, that's what makes you the greatest. You have to have it. And, you're even seeing that with Peyton last night. Peyton watching a game that he has no real interest. He's not invested in anything. He's pounding the couch because of somebody doing something wrong. But that's how he approaches the game. That's how he approached the game. That's how Tom does. But look, I was honored to be on it. And it's a tribute to Tom that all of those people took time out in their day to be able to be on that Zoom call. And I don't know if there was anything strange that was asked or different that was asked. He did talk about the interception he threw in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, and he's lying on the ground thinking, if we lose the Super Bowl, that's going to be the reason why we lose the Super Bowl because of that interception. But, I mean, you got the mental process for Tom in how he is all in, all consuming. Can't have enough of it. And that's the difference. Like, your passion leaves you. I think that's the first thing that leaves these great players. The desire to continue to play and commit, at a high level. Like, LeBron is still all in. And hopefully he's still all in for a few more years. But you have to make that commitment where that's the most important thing. And you see that with what Tom's able to do. Every quarterback that I have on here looks at Tom and marvels at it because they weren't able to continue. If it's Carson Palmer, if it's Drew Brees, go down the list. And they're all younger than him. But it's really, really impressive. You know, I look at this. I look at what LeBron is doing. He's, to me, the best player of all time because he's doing it at this high a level, and the results are usually in an NBA Finals or winning a championship. He's maintained a level of excellence, and so is Brady. I mean, Brady is so, man, he wants that MVP. Like, you get an MVP at 44, nobody will touch that. Like, you can't touch that in any sport if you're able to do it. But it was a lot of fun. I appreciate Jim Gray reaching out and also seeing members of the media celebrating Tom with the 600th touchdown pass that he threw.